Well, I thought I'd give a little time to let some people get online and make sure everything is going as it should. I figure on weeknights we have the ability to bring the community together. We have a lot of people who are home alone and they're basically lonely, bordering on depression because they're alone. They don't have people to, or they feel like they don't have people to talk to about current events, their prayer needs, things that are troubling them. And so I figure I've got the equipment, I've got the ability and the desire, and we could bring the community together and put a biblical spin on what's going on. Some people might want advice. Some people just might want to hear somebody else's comment. Some people might really just want to vent and feel like they're being heard. Well, we're going to try this tonight. And phone number here to call in if you want to call in is 904 442 8082. Now, I don't know where you are. I don't know what your phone system is like. You might need to dial a 1 before all that. I don't know. But if you call it, we'll see if we can't get you on the speaker and maybe we can have a discussion. Maybe you don't have to feel like you're alone. Maybe we can develop community. So, you know some others that are alone? I'm in a lot of singles groups, single RV groups, single camper groups, single this group, single that group. And Thursday night, maybe you're like me, you don't watch a lot of TV. You'd rather reach out and touch people. So we're here. Gonna do some talking until the phone rings. And we'll just hang out for a little bit and see how it goes. So if you want to, you can just type comment in the chat box. I may or may not be able to type back, but I'll answer back. So one of the big things that's looming right now, of course, we had the election. I'm not all that excited about talking about that. Of course, you might want to. But that's the kind of thing that now that it's done, of course, there are some that are still recounting or whatever. It's done now. There's not a whole lot we can do about it. If your candidate won, you're happy. If your candidate didn't win, you're not happy. Thing is, if you didn't vote, if you weren't part of the situation, if you didn't, speak your mind beforehand, it's kind of a waste to talk about it now. We got more important things that we can actually affect. Now, in 2 years, if you don't like the way things turned out this time, be more prepared in 2 years. And you got to do more than pray. You got to do more than talk. You got to get out there. You got to actually vote. And it might help if you encourage other people to do the same. But today, we had another mass shooting. Now, I got to tell you, there's just way too many of these for my liking. Now, it's been said that maybe there's not more than there's ever been. Maybe it's just we see more of it. We hear more about it because we have the internet, we have television, and with the internet, things are not, well, even on the internet, you're getting just a slanted view of this or that because the gatekeepers also control the internet and what you see on the internet. But on the internet, something can happen across the world and you can get it right instantaneously on your screen. So maybe we're hearing more about what's going on, making the world smaller. Now, this brings into the discussion this whole idea of the world coming together as one, this whole one world government thing, new world order thing that a lot of folks are trying to usher in just as quickly as they can. That can be a topic of the conversation. You might want to talk about that. That might be something that's concerning you tonight. I'm not trying to direct the conversation. I'm trying to provide an avenue and a platform so that you don't have to feel alone. You don't have to feel pressed down and isolated, because it's in that isolation that you get taken down. It's in that isolation that causes people to make permanent solutions to temporary problems. So we're opening up an avenue for discussion, an avenue so that you can be heard, an avenue so that you can hear from other people, let you know that you're not alone. Maybe you think that your thinking is all alone. Maybe you got the enemy over your shoulder telling you that you're the only one. Well, maybe tonight you can find out that you're not the only one. So we're open to hear what you got, and let's talk a little bit about it. Now, this shooting thing, we live in a time and with people that don't really care too much for others. People are self-centered. People are thinking only of themselves. People don't have a respect for life. People are self-centered. They want all they want. And frankly, they don't care too much about who they hurt to get what they want. Now, this is what happens when you push God out of society and you try to assert your will on everybody else under the guise of laissez-faire, everybody do their own thing. Well, the thing about that is people don't really want just to do their own thing. They want you to do their own thing. They want you to do it their way. They want to be free to have their own thoughts and ideas. But it seems like they want to control your thoughts and ideas. And if your thoughts and ideas are not equal and consistent to their thoughts and ideas, then you become the enemy. You become a threat because you are a person who can think for yourself and have nerve to swim upstream. Now, there used to be a big movement that was called counterculture. And now that counterculture movement is coming up against people that are trying to go back the other way. And now they don't want that happening. They find that as a threat. And so now we have this idea that life is not important. Your life is not important, but my life is. And now people will take a life for their convenience. They will take a life so that they won't get caught, won't get in trouble, won't, if you're standing in the way of them doing what they want to do, they don't mind taking your life because your life has little to no value to them. We now see more and more people taking the lives of people close to them. And I'm not even talking about the female who takes the life of the innocent within her own womb. I'm talking about couples, one take the life of the other. Brothers and sisters, one take the life of the other. Parent and child, one take the life of the other. We saw on the news not long ago, a grandchild took the life of the grandmother that he was staying with because she would not let him do something he wanted to do, something real trivial. But he thought it was important enough to take his life, to take her life. This recent deal this morning, a veteran, we spoke about veterans, 22 a day taking their lives. This guy shot up a nightclub of college kids, shot a police officer that was coming to help and assist. And so that's 12 lives gone. And then the guy shot himself. Now, we do have a problem here in America as we look to other countries and say, that's not humane. You can't do that. Well, we got real problems here at home. Not everything is a racial issue. Some of it is just a lawlessness issue. We have a situation of lawlessness. Some people are set up by the law. Others seem to be above the law. And then we have some people within the law that are not operating as they should. So the whole situation is a mess. Now, I submit to you it's a mess because we have turned from God. And when you turn from God, this is the kind of thing that happens. Your Bible and my Bible says that in the last days, things like this will happen. We got to get back to the place where life is important, where we love our neighbor as we love ourselves. And who is our neighbor? Anyone that we come in contact with is our neighbor. Doesn't have to be right next door, doesn't have to be across the street, doesn't even have to be in the same community. As we progress and get more and more things, electricity, air conditioning was a big one. Heating, central heating was another big one. Cars with windows and air conditioning and heating again. We start closing ourselves off. We stop being community. And so we don't really know people anymore. And when we don't know them, it's hard to care for them. And if they're gone, we don't miss them because we did not relate with them to start with. We don't grieve with our neighbors like we once did. Now, one thing that we still have that we have to capitalize on is we will pull together when certain things happen, when catastrophic things happen. We'll pull together for that. But there's no more welcome to the neighborhood. There's no more taking the loaf of bread, the bottle of wine, the bag of rice, the bag of corn, all those different things that said welcome to the neighborhood. There's no more of that. There's no more, okay, you got a job at your house needs to be done. Everybody comes over and helps you take care of that. And then next week, somebody else might have something needs to be done, and everybody goes helps them with that. We don't do that anymore. We're losing that. No more sitting on the porch, waving to the neighbors, talking to the neighbors, visiting with each other. Some walk the dog still, but when you walk the dog, there's nobody outside. Everybody's inside, enjoying the air conditioning, enjoying the heat. So we're missing out on community. It used to be the church, the synagogue, the temple was the center of the community. And everything that went on in the community went through the church, the synagogue, the temple. Used to be even the bad guys had respect for the church, the synagogue, the temple. Nowadays, folks have no respect for hardly anything. They don't respect themselves. They have no fear of God. Some used to even be superstitious, which I do not get into. But now, folks, they're not even superstitious. They have no fear. They have no fear of death until they're dying. And then their pride gets the best of them, so they don't want to reach out. So things are not as they ought to be. Things are not as they should be. And what are we going to do about it? Well, this did not take God by surprise. This did not take Jesus by surprise. I want you to check this out. Luke 22:36. Now, most of y'all who know me know that I don't like just going in, reaching out, grabbing a verse and going off on it. You want this in context. So let me give you some context to this verse. When Jesus was sending the disciples out, this is when he's about to leave. This is right before he's crucified and, laid in the grave and then resurrected to new life. This is right before then. And Jesus sent the disciples out 2 by 2. First, he sent them out to the brethren, the Jews, and trying to give them the good news, trying to give them the conversion. And when he sent them out to the Jews, he said, don't take your purse, don't take an extra coat, don't take all these things that you need for subsistence. Because he said, you go into the town, you talk to the people. If they accept you, great. Let them take care of you. If they don't accept you, shake the dust off your feet and walk on. But it was like, these are your brethren. They will take care of you. You are sojourners in the land, and they will give you, a place to sleep, something to eat, something to wash with, and let you go on. But this time was different. He said, when he sent them out this time, he's sending them out to the Gentiles, if you will, those who were not Jews, those who were not part of the covenant, those who had no responsibility to them. And he sent them out, and this is what verse 36 of Luke 22 says. Then said he unto them, but now he that has a purse, let him take it, and likewise his scrip. And he that hath no sword, let him sell his garment and buy one. Now that, to me, is very telling. He's saying, don't be a victim. Be aware that there are going to be some people that are going to come after you. You're not in friendly territory. Take your purse. You need your money. You need to be able to take care of yourself, because they're not going to take care of you because they don't have a responsibility for you. They're not part of your community. You're going to witness to them, so you don't want to be a burden to them. Take your scrip. That's your little bag, a couple changes of clothes and whatnot. Again, you don't know the people where you're going. You're going to be a blessing to them. And he says, if you take your sword. Now notice, he didn't say take a shield to protect yourself from their advancements. He said take your sword. And it's so important that if you don't have a sword, sell your coat and get one. It's more important to you that you have a sword to protect yourself from what might be out there, and so you can advance instead of just, protecting yourself, retreat. A sword is an offensive weapon. A sword is to give them something to think about instead of just you trying to cover up and protect yourself. He says it's more important that you have a sword to defend yourself from the people that might attack you than it is to protect yourself from the elements that God is in control of. Now, to me, when I saw that verse, it gave me a real strong unction. And cover that, take that, and couple it with people walking into churches and shooting up churches. Now, this is not a new thing. This has been going on since I've been alive. Now, some of that was racially motivated. But again, the basis of it is we don't have love and respect for human life. Now, you can't even go to church and feel safe. Certainly, you can't even be in your own home and be safe. People live in these gated communities, and they're finding out they cannot feel safe within their gated communities. We have all these alarm systems and bars and all these gates around our homes, and we don't feel safe. We go on a road trip and go on a journey, and a lot of us can't feel safe. Michael Jordan's dad was killed at a rest stop driving in the car. I believe Bill Cosby's son was also killed driving his car. We don't have this safety. Now, a lot of Christians would say, oh, you need to have your safety in God. He will protect you. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Well, that's good and that's wonderful. And that's walking by faith. That's going where God told you to go. But right here in Luke 22:36, God is saying, as I send you out, not everybody out there respects me. Not everybody out there is for me. There are people that since they are against me, they're going to be against you. And if you are sharing me, they're going to be that much more against you. And as they're trying to shut me up, they are going to try to shut you up. And you are going to need to protect yourself. So that's pretty strong. And as I see all these churches getting shot up, all these innocent people being shot up because the bad guy has guns, and it's not the gun. I mean, people getting blown up by truck bombs, people getting ran over in cars, by cars, people getting burned out. In Germany, people got gassed. The devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And he was stealing, killing, and destroying long before we had guns. In this verse, Jesus said, get a sword. They didn't have guns then. You heard it said, don't take a knife to a gunfight. For many years, I've been a martial artist. I used to teach hand-to-hand combat. I used to teach self-defense. I used to say, you can protect yourself. I was one of those guys that was such a strict kind of person with the hand-to-hand combat. I didn't like weapons. I wouldn't teach weapons to my students. I wouldn't let them compete in weapons. I would teach them how to disarm people of weapons. But when you start dealing with guns, things change. You have to be close enough to affect that person with the weapon they have. And nowadays we have weapons that can reach out and touch you from quite a long distance. So if you're going to protect yourself, and this is where that Second Amendment came in at, you are going to need equal or greater weapon than the one who is trying to come against you. Hand-to-hand combat is very effective, but it is no match for someone who is trained with a gun. So having that understanding, I come to the realization God's people need a change of thought process about guns. Texas, God, country, guns, family. But not everybody feels that way. A lot of people are anti-gun. Well, if you're anti-gun, I wonder if you're anti-sword. If you're anti-sword, what do you do with this verse where Jesus said, as I send you out there into this world, take your purse, take your script, and take your sword. And if you don't have a sword, sell your coat and get a sword. What do you do with that verse? So here I am, a man of the word, yes, a man of the cloth. And there was a time when if you were a man of the cloth, you didn't touch firearms. I don't know why that was, but that's how it was. When I was in the military, when I became a chaplain, I gave up my firearm because the Geneva Convention said I was not a combative. I was there to minister to those who were combatives. So something happens. Somebody now needs to be able to protect the folks so that they can feel safe when they go into the Lord's house to worship, to fellowship, to learn, to grow. And now they don't feel safe. So what I did, because I feel like people need access to weapons, people need training on weapons, because it does you no good to have it if you're not trained in it. Somebody's going to take it from you and use it against you. So you need to have it. You need to feel comfortable with it. You need to be effective with it. And then, man, you can protect your home. You can protect your family. You can protect your house of worship. You can protect your school. The thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is usually a good guy with a gun. And it's a shame that it's come to that. But we've been told it's going to come to that in these last days. And as they have pushed God out of the community, the church is no longer the center of the community. We no longer have an effect on the community. It looks like we no longer have community weekday activities that are geared around the church. And there's become a big, vast separation, not just between church and state, but between church and community. The church used to be the heartbeat of the community. Even people that didn't believe gave deference to the church. But now, because of different influences on the church has become anemic. It's lost the power of the blood of Jesus Christ. And now many people are dying needlessly because churches, schools, hospitals, other places like this, businesses have become just like fishing in a pond to people who want to cause trouble. So that's my thinking. And that's why I became licensed a federal arms dealer, to make sure that God's people, good people, had access to guns. Some of that is having to change the thinking. I mean, as a dad, you were going to have to do some very bad stuff to me to get after my kids. See, I was going to protect them with everything I had. As a pastor, if you come into my church, the building, I'm going to protect you with everything I've got. That means I've got security that's going to be able to handle disruptions. People are shooting up churches. People shooting up nightclubs. You go wanting to let your hair down, just to have a good time, blow off some steam, forget about your troubles. People come in shooting up the place. This is not people that has a beef with somebody. That would be bad enough. This is people that don't even know the people inside. They're just indiscriminately shooting. And it's because we don't have love one for another. We don't have respect for life. I'd like to hear what you think. Somebody get brave, call on the phone. Let me see if this thing actually works, but I need you to call for that to work. This is starting to get a little long, so we're going to shut it down here pretty soon, but maybe somebody has a thought on that. I know I'm not the only one who's been thinking it. But you got to have a thought about the firearms, about all these shootings, all this killing. And what might we do as a community and as individuals to keep our people, our loved ones safe? 904-442-8082. Somebody be brave enough. Call on the phone. I know you're thinking about it. This news hits you just like it hits me. I know you have a love for your fellow man. I know you're stressed out wondering what we're going to do about it. What other thoughts that you have? Let me hear from you. If nobody calls, nobody talks to me, then you've heard my thinking. You know that you can get training. You know that you can get access to the firearm. You know that you can get the accessories. And you know that you can get the information that you need to get legal with a firearm right here. And you could also bounce off any religious ideas that you might have about firearms and the use of firearms to protect yourself and to defend yourself from a guy who you have had history with, that you understand that I am in the Bible, I am in the Word of God, and I want to please God. That's what I want to do. I want to please God. When all is said and done, at the end of time, when I draw my last breath and I get in the face of God, I want to hear him say, "Well done, my good and faithful servant. Enter into your reward." So I'm looking for this phone to ring. 904-442-8082. Y'all know me. I don't mind talking because I've got some stuff to say. I see some things and I think I got some input that I could input to make some things happen, to change some things. But you have the opportunity to come out, to vent. Here's a platform. Or to inquire. Or to just agree. Or to agree in prayer. Because prayer does change things. But I believe my Bible says once you get up, act and walk like you believe that you received the thing that you asked for when you pray. So this is not a works mentality, but when you believe it, you start walking it. Sometimes you have to start walking it so that you do believe it. So how you feeling about all these mass killings? You feeling despair? Feeling hopeless? Feeling depressed? Feeling angry? Feeling like you want to lash out and fight back? Feeling like you want to withdraw and just hide yourself in the house or something so that you can't get attacked? There is a class that I teach called Refuse to be a Victim. And that starts with the mindset that I will not be a victim. There's certain things we can do to help prevent us from being the choice for someone who wants to victimize somebody. Now, you might call it profiling, you might call it prejudice, you might call it a whole lot of stuff. But you got to keep your eyes open. You got to safeguard yourself. There's certain things you can do to safeguard yourself, to safeguard your home, safeguard your car. And we schedule with churches to do these seminars, schedule with colleges to do these seminars, civic groups, social groups and whatnot to do these seminars, homeowners associations, and just, wherever there's people, if we can affect the lives of the people, let them feel safe. There's things you can do to be safer in your daily activities. Certain do's and don'ts that maybe you don't think about. A lot of people say, hey, that's just common sense. Well, maybe it's not so common because it happens every day. Okay, we got somebody calling. Wait till the last minute. Let's see if we can answer this. Hello, you got Doc? Oh, Brother Joyner. I got to turn this up so we can hear you. Go ahead. All right. Now, Brother Joyner, I've had to pick up the phone because I don't know, the speaker is not giving me your voice loud enough. So when you say something, I'm gonna have to repeat it because it's not going loud enough to be broadcast. So okay, go ahead, talk to me. They can hear me, and I can hear you. It's just not being broadcast. I don't know if I have seen that page, Brother Joyner. Godly love, unless you sent me a link, in which case I have, but I don't remember it. Oh, will remove evil, the evil. Okay. I'm actually typing it in so that people can see it. Evil racial divide. Yep, I have heard that from you. I'm not sure if I actually heard it from speaking with you or if I heard it through reading your page, but I have heard your story there. Well, then, that is where I read it. Now, Brother Joyner, I am coming up on my hour, so I am going to cut this off because I don't like to go longer than an hour. But I'm going to echo what you said so everybody can hear it. And I'm going to go ahead and say I've already posted your page so people can look at it, but I'm going to do that again so that everybody who sees this at a later time can take a look and check you out. But I do love you, and I want you to keep on doing what you're doing. Yeah, I know that you're older, but you're still fighting. You're not ready to give it up yet, and that's good. Well, there you go. Next month we'll be saying happy birthday. But I do appreciate you calling in. Somebody had to be bold. Now I know that I have to do something with the speaker on my phone and get it right for the next discussion. And I appreciate you. So God bless, brother. Okay. Thank you. All right, folks, we're going to try to wrap this up. I appreciate Brother Howell Joyner calling in. He's a good brother. And what he was sharing was his mother used to feed a bunch of laborers on the farm. And back in those days, I mean, he's an older brother. He'll turn 85 next month. And he's a brother because we both got the same father, which is, Father God. And we have the same blood with the blood of Christ. But he happens to be a white man. His mom happens to be a white woman. And back then you had laborers that were both black and white. And when they would come in to eat, the whites would sit at one table, the blacks would sit at another table. And I imagine this was before the Browns came in. I'm not sure, but it could be. But his mom heard from God that, there should be no more of this segregated eating. So what she did was she told the men, she said, and they used to pray for a blessing, of the food every day. So she would say, she said one day, listen, I'm going to feed y'all. I'm going to continue to feed y'all, but we're no longer going to be segregated as we eat. Now, if you got a problem with a black man or if you got a problem with a white man, then you could just bring your own food. But we're going to do this together. And that was one of the things that really touched and molded Brother Joyner. And he was, if I remember correctly, a race relations guy. And from the beginning, way back when race relations was an official position. And he was elected, as the union guy for that over and over and over again. And so that's full of his heart. That's his heart. And he desires to share it every time he can so that other people can see his heart and know what's going on. This brother's almost 85 years old and he's still fighting the good fight. Now, God has put a mission on you. If you're still breathing, you have a mission. If you're still breathing, you probably have a vision. God's not through with you. You can make a difference. If you couldn't, you would not be here anymore. You'd be through. So seek God to find out what it is that he has for you to do and why you draw breath every day. And then work every day to come closer to doing the thing that God would have you to do. Listen, it's been an hour. I don't want to go long. I appreciate Brother Howell for calling. Now I know that I've got to work on the phone so that you can actually hear when somebody calls, so that these call-in shows could be more effective. Y'all know me, I could talk forever because I've got stuff in my heart that I want to share. That's how it is when you've been anointed to speak. Now, I'll sit alone and not speak to anybody forever. I can do that. But once I start talking about something that is of import, it's hard to shut me up. So listen, thank y'all for tuning in tonight. If you feel moved, share this on your timeline, share it in different groups, share it with people that might need to be encouraged. We're going to try this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, either straight Bible study or getting your prayer requests and then having prayer. And around the same time, we'll go for about an hour, and we'll post it up for those who haven't been able to see it live, join us live. And so, again, some people are shut in. They don't get out. Some people are just alone at home. This is something you can reach out, touch other people, hear from other people, feel like you're part of a community. I love you. God loves you. And we want you to help bring in the harvest. God bless you. Oh, we got a bunch of people in. I didn't speak to you directly, but then again, you didn't call either, so it's on you, and you didn't leave messages. But I thank all y'all for signing in. We'll see y'all tomorrow for morning devotional. Bye-bye.